Hey guys, it's Ranch, and today it's with a heavy heart that I talk about the downfall of one of my favorite weapons in TF2. The Amputator. The Amputator has never been a favorite in the community, to be fair. As a matter of fact, I'd say it's just about always been living in the shadow of its powerful older cousin, the Ubersaw. However, the Amputator held a very special place in mine and a few other medic mains' hearts. Unfortunately, Valve decided to drive this already underused medic melee further into its grave to join all of its alternatives aside from the Ubersaw with a huge, unnoted nerf in the Tough Break update. The Amputator was fine for the longest time, honestly. I considered it a viable side grade. Sacrificing the potential utility of 25% Uber gain per hit for some survivability was great, and it encouraged an almost entirely opposite playstyle to the Ubersaw. I'm not saying you have to go wild with Ubersaw, but it does encourage attacking enemies a bit more when opportunities present themselves, while the Amputator encourages self-preservation over all else, which can be a very useful mindset and playstyle in sticky situations. I was always the medic that would rather leg it away from the battle to preserve what Uber I had than rush in with my saw for the chance of gaining a tiny bit of Uber when challenges presented themselves. So the Amputator was a very obvious choice for me. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of times I've been barely saved from dying to bleed or afterburn just because I pulled out the Amputator. At the end of the day, this was really one of the major utilities the Amputator had, negating and softening the effects of damage over time. Being able to do this as a medic could be a game changer, allowing the medic to save himself in very specific sticky situations and preserve his Uber in doing so. However, that all changed when the Amputator got nerfed during Tough Break. Now, you may be thinking, I don't remember the Amputator being nerfed, but I assure you it was nerfed, and it was nerfed hard. Before you scour the wiki searching for patch notes about the Amputator, I'm going to save you the trouble and tell you that there is no patch note for the change that killed the Amputator. This change wasn't unique to the Amputator. It was a change to the entire mechanic of passive self-healing. Before Tough Break, any item that granted passive self-healing would give you the entirety of its heal bonus every second, no matter what. After Tough Break, however, self-healing was changed to work on a ramp-up system, similar to the medic's passive health regen, which starts at 3 HP a second and slowly climbs the longer the medic goes without taking damage. This new change to self-healing destroyed the Amputator's one true utility, which as I mentioned before is to negate or soften the effects of damage over time. When this change was made, all passive self-healing sources were made to reset to +1 HP a second, beginning to ramp up to their full self-healing potential after a few seconds. If you're unfamiliar with what damage over time is when damage is dealt in ticks every second or otherwise, and the Amputator was a weapon which, when deployed, counteracted the damage ticks with health regen ticks. However, now that this change is made, the primary utility of the Amputator has been essentially crushed. It's a fundamental flaw in the design of the weapon now. The damage over time ticks of afterburn or bleed are constantly resetting the weapon's self-healing bonus to only +1 HP a second, which will rarely mean the difference between surviving damage over time and dying to it. Giving the medic this control to prioritize his own life while burning or bleeding at the cost of time spent healing teammates added a very unique and interesting dynamic to the class, I feel. The Amputator gave the medic a hand in his own fate, in a sense. Now, some of you may still be thinking, the Amputator isn't that bad. Sure, they nerfed the self-healing, but what about the group heal taunt? Well, in certain unlikely situations, the taunt could heal up an entire team very quickly. You're unlikely to ever encounter a situation where a majority of your teammates have been out of combat long enough to achieve maximum crit heal ramp up, and you're in a position where it's safe to stand still and play a loud, clearly visible taunt. Everyone's out to kill medics, as their Uber charges are game changing. And even if you find an opportunity to heal your teammates with the Amputator, there's a huge chance an enemy is willing to suicide in just to kill you, which is made incredibly easy by the fact that you're entirely immobile during the taunt. All in all, every utility for the Amputator has been destroyed. The weapon is now fundamentally flawed. Its self-healing no longer helps to any notable degree in any situation where it previously did, and its healing taunt is generally not worth using over the crossbow and minigun. And the taunt is often guaranteed death for the medic locked into performing it. The Amputator has fallen from glory, and at this point, there's even less of a reason to switch from the Ubersaw than ever before. I'd love to see this weapon get rebalanced, as medic is in dire need of some practical gameplay diversity. I personally think it's inexcusable for Valve to silently nerf viable medic melee alternatives, given their already abysmal equip rates in comparison with the Ubersaw. It's possible that this nerf was an oversight by the dev team. All other self-healing items, such as the 𝐒𝐿𝐄𝐈𝐀 and the 𝐒𝐑𝐄𝐃, got a max self-heal rate buff to compensate for this self-healing nerf, though the Amputator received no direct rebalances or stat changes. One idea for making the weapon viable again is, restore the self-healing bonus of the Amputator to a flat +3 watts active. Make it ignore the self-healing ramp up. This brings the weapon back to how it was before the secret Tough Break nerf. However, that still leaves us with the ultimately useless group healing taunt. To make this more useful, it could function like a looping dance taunt, where the user has freedom to deactivate it at any point or continue going for as long as desired. Another idea I had was to give everyone in its radius a speed buff on top of the healing, similar to the 𝐒𝐄𝐈𝐃. The speed buff idea might make the taunt a bit too powerful, but it would be interesting to see nonetheless. Whatever the case, hopefully we'll see the Amputator get some love in the next big balance change update. God knows the poor thing needs it. That's just about all I have to say about the Amputator for today, guys. I hope I potentially gave some of you some new information about the Amputator today, specifically the secret nerf to its self-healing. If I did, drop a comment below to let me know what you think. As well as this, drop a comment with your suggestions for rebalancing the Amputator to make it viable again. And one final thing, I'd like to invite you guys to follow me on Twitter and join my Discord to keep updated and chat sometime. The links to both of these are in the description. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.